Have you ever looked at your bank account on Friday and felt that sinking feeling? That moment when you realize the money is already gone before the weekend even begins. Maybe you skip buying coffee because you're counting every dollar. Maybe you lie awake wondering how you'll cover that unexpected bill. Maybe you tell yourself next month will be different, but next month feels exactly the same. This cycle of hope and disappointment becomes your normal. You work hard, you show up every day, but somehow you're always one emergency away from disaster. Here's what you need to know. Your financial story is not fixed. And this is the story of a teacher who discovered that transformation doesn't require a windfall. It requires a single decision, repeated daily for just 90 days. It's not your fault you feel this way. You were never taught how money really works. You were told to work hard, get a good job, and everything would fall into place. But no one explained the quiet math of small choices. No one showed you how tiny daily decisions build your future, either brick by brick or crack by crack. You're not alone in this struggle. Millions of hard-working people feel exactly what you feel right now. That tension between responsibility and exhaustion, between wanting more and feeling stuck. But what if I told you that financial freedom doesn't start with earning more? It starts with a shift so small, most people overlook it completely. This is the story of David, a 34-year-old middle school teacher in Chicago. He graded papers until midnight. He bought classroom supplies with his own money. He drove a 10-year-old car with 140,000 miles. And every Sunday night he felt that familiar dread, another week of barely making it. David wasn't lazy. He wasn't irresponsible. He was trapped in a cycle he didn't know how to break. He tried budgeting apps. He skipped dinners out. Nothing created real change. Little did David know, everything was about to change. Not with a raise, not with a lottery ticket, but with $5 single, one each day, for 90 days straight. David taught 7th grade history at Lincoln Middle School. His classroom had peeling paint and a flickering fluorescent light he'd reported 3 times. Every morning at 6:15 a.m., he woke up in his one-bedroom apartment on the city's south side. Rent, $1,100. Car payment, $287. Student loans, $342. Credit card minimum, $75. These numbers lived in his head like unwelcome guests. His checking account balance never rose above $400. Some Fridays, it dipped below $100. He'd stand in the grocery store aisle, calculator in hand, deciding between chicken or rice, real chicken or instant noodles, dignity or survival. The shame was the heaviest weight. At parent-teacher conferences, parents assumed he was financially stable. After all, he was a teacher, a respected profession. But David would return to his car afterward and check his bank app, heart pounding, hoping a small purchase hadn't triggered an overdraft fee. He'd already tried everything he could think of. He cut cable, he canceled his gym membership, he started packing lunch instead of buying it. But these cuts only saved $30 or $40 a month, barely enough to cover one unexpected expense. When his car needed new brakes in March, he put it on his credit card. The interest piled up, the cycle tightened. One Tuesday in April, David sat at his desk after school. Papers to grade covered every surface. His phone buzzed. A reminder, car insurance due Friday, $189. He checked his account, $112. His throat tightened. He thought about calling his sister to borrow money again, the 3rd time this year. He looked at his students' essays about dreams and futures. One girl wrote about becoming an astronaut. David felt like a fraud. How could he inspire children to reach for stars when he couldn't even reach financial stability? That night, he didn't grade papers. He sat on his apartment floor, back against the couch, and cried quietly so his neighbors wouldn't hear. Not dramatic sobs, just silent tears of exhaustion, the kind that come when you've been fighting alone for too long. He whispered to the empty room, "I just want to breathe, just once. I want to open my bank app and not feel afraid." In that moment, David wasn't thinking about wealth or luxury cars. He was dreaming of peace, of safety, of a single day without financial fear, just like you might be right now. The next morning, David's mentor teacher, Mrs. Gable, noticed his red eyes. She'd taught for 32 years. She'd seen this look before. During lunch break, she didn't offer advice. She simply said, "Walk with me." They sat on a bench outside the school. Spring sun warmed their faces. Mrs. Gable shared her own story. Divorced at 40, 2 kids, $28,000 in debt. She'd felt exactly as David felt. Then she said something simple that changed everything. "I stopped trying to save what was left. I started saving what came first." David frowned. "What does that mean?" Mrs. Gable explained. Every Friday for 30 years, before paying bills, before buying groceries, before anything else, she transferred $20 into a separate savings account. Not what remained after expenses, not when she had extra, always first, always without exception. It wasn't about the amount, it was about the order. You pay yourself before the world takes its share. David was skeptical. $20 a week? That won't fix my debt. Mrs. Gable smiled gently. It's not about the money, it's about rewiring your brain. Every time you save first, you send a message, "I matter, my future matters." Do this enough times and your entire relationship with money shifts. She explained the psychology simply. When you save what's left, you're training yourself to see money as scarce. You're reinforcing the belief that there's never enough. But when you save first, even a tiny amount, you create evidence that you can build something. You prove to yourself that you're capable of consistency. That proof changes your identity from someone who struggles to someone who builds. That evening, David couldn't stop thinking about her words. He opened a new savings account online, separate from his checking. He set a reminder on his phone. Daily save, $5. Just $5, less than a coffee, less than a fast food meal. He chose $5 because it felt impossible to fail. Even on his worst day, he could find $5. The real question wasn't whether he could afford it, it was whether he believed his future deserved it. For 3 days, he hesitated. The habit felt unnatural. On day 4, standing in line at the gas station, he almost bought a soda. Instead, he opened his banking app right there and transferred $5 to his new account. The balance read $20. A tiny number, but something shifted inside him. Not excitement, not joy, something quieter and more powerful. Dignity. He had kept a promise to himself. No one asked him to do it. No one would praise him for it. He did it anyway. And in that small act, he discovered a truth most people never learn. Financial freedom isn't built in giant leaps. It's built in daily deposits of self-respect, each one saying, "I am worth saving for." David didn't know it yet, but those first $20 contained the seed of everything that would follow. The habit itself would become the teacher. The $5 was just the tuition. Day 7. David's savings account showed $35. He felt a flicker of pride. Then his car made a strange noise. The mechanic said it needed a new belt, $210. David's stomach dropped. He almost broke his streak, almost transferred the money back, but he remembered Mrs. Gable's words. The habit is the point, not the amount. He put the repair on his credit card and saved his $5 that evening. The debt grew, but so did something else, his commitment to the process. Day 14, $70 saved. His friend invited him to a concert. Tickets were $65. David wanted to go. He almost justified skipping his daily save just this once, but he realized something important. Exceptions destroy habits. So he declined the invitation and transferred his $5. That night, loneliness hit hard. He wondered if this tiny habit was worth the isolation. Some days, the $5 felt meaningless against his $14,000 debt. He'd look at his savings balance and think, this won't change anything. Doubt became his daily companion. Day 22, a crisis. His landlord raised the rent by $85 monthly. David panicked. He considered quitting the habit entirely, redirecting that $150 monthly toward the increase. But something stopped him. The habit had become sacred. Instead of quitting, he got creative. He started selling old textbooks online. He tutored 2 students after school for $25 each session. He found the money elsewhere. The $5 transfer remained untouched. This was the first real test, and he passed. Day 30, $150 saved. Not life-changing money, but David noticed something unexpected. He was making different choices automatically. He brewed coffee at home without thinking about it. He waited an extra day before ordering takeout. He questioned small purchases before making them. The habit was rewiring his brain. He wasn't depriving himself, he was choosing his future self over momentary comfort. And this shift created a new emotion, agency. For the first time in years, he felt in control. Day 41, setback. David's phone broke, a cracked screen. Repair cost, $129. He paid cash, money he'd planned to use for groceries. That week, he ate rice and beans 3 nights in a row. Hunger made the habit feel foolish. One evening, he almost deleted the savings account entirely. But as he sat with his finger hovering over the close account button, he remembered his tears on the apartment floor. He remembered wanting just one day without fear. This discomfort was temporary. The alternative, giving up, was permanent. He transferred his $5. Then he ate plain rice, and he felt strangely proud. Day 55, $275 saved. David started tracking his spending in a small notebook, not a complex budget, just awareness. He discovered he spent $97 monthly on convenience, coffee, snacks, delivery fees, small leaks. He didn't eliminate them all at once, he just reduced them by half. The extra $50 went toward his credit card debt. For the first time, he made a payment larger than the minimum. The balance dropped by $38 after interest. A tiny victory, but victories compound. Day 68. His students noticed something. David seemed calmer, less rushed. During a lesson about ancient economies, a student asked, "Mr. Chen, how do people get rich?" David almost gave the standard answer about hard work. Instead, he shared a truth he'd learned. Wealth isn't about big moments, it's about small choices repeated until they become who you are. He didn't mention his $5 habit, but he spoke with authenticity that resonated. After class, 3 students stayed behind to ask more questions. David realized his transformation was becoming visible, not in his bank account, but in his presence. Day 99, a surprise. David's principal asked him to lead a new after-school program, stipend $200 monthly. David almost spent it immediately on things he'd denied himself, but the habit had changed his relationship with windfalls. He saved 100 of it, the other 100 went to debt. This was huge progress. His credit card balance had dropped from $3,200 to $2,400 in under 3 months, not from massive payments, but from consistent small actions plus one strategic windfall. Day 85. The real test arrived. David's sister called. Her car broke down. She needed $300 for repairs. Could he help? David's first instinct was yes, he always helped family. But this time he paused. He looked at his savings account, $425. He felt torn between old patterns and new boundaries. He called Mrs. Gable. She said gently, "Helping others from your poverty helps no one. Build your foundation first, then you can help from strength." David lent his sister $150, half what she asked. It was the hardest no he'd ever given, but it was also the first time he protected his progress. That evening, he transferred his $5. The habit remained unbroken, and David understood something profound. Discipline isn't punishment, it's self-love in action. Day 89. $445 saved. David felt different, not rich, not debt-free, but capable. The fear had softened. Opening his bank app no longer triggered anxiety. He saw numbers, not threats. He saw progress, not proof of failure. The 90 days weren't magical, they were methodical. Each $5 deposit was a vote for the person he was becoming, and after 89 votes, that person felt real. Tomorrow would be day 90, the final deposit, but David already knew he wouldn't stop.
The habit had become part of him, like brushing his teeth, like showing up for his students. Non-negotiable. He didn't know it yet, but day 90 would bring an opportunity he never saw coming, an opportunity that would multiply his small savings into something extraordinary. But that's tomorrow's story. Tonight, he simply transferred $5 and went to sleep without dread for years.
Day 90. David transferred his final $5. Account balance, $450. He felt quiet satisfaction, not fireworks, but deep peace. That afternoon, his principal called him into her office. A neighboring school district was launching a financial literacy program for middle schools. They needed curriculum developers. Part-time, $75 per hour. They'd heard about David's engaging teaching style from a district administrator who'd visited his classroom. The opportunity wasn't random. David's calm presence, born from his financial peace, had changed how he taught. He was more patient, more present, more creative. His students performed better. Word spread. This opportunity found him because he'd changed from the inside out. David accepted the position. First month earnings, $1,200. He did something radical with that money. He didn't spend it on things he'd denied himself. He divided it strategically. $600 to his credit card debt, $400 to his savings account, $200 for one small celebration, a nice dinner with Mrs. Gable to thank her. This decision marked his true breakthrough, not the money itself, but his relationship with it. Money had become a tool for building, not a source of anxiety. 3 months later, David's credit card was paid off completely. His savings account held $1,850. He'd increased his daily save to $10 after receiving a small raise. But the real transformation wasn't in the numbers. It was in the moments no one saw. The Saturday morning he woke up and didn't check his bank balance immediately. The evening he bought concert tickets without calculating if he could afford them. The quiet confidence when his car needed repairs. He simply paid cash without panic. One afternoon, David stood in his classroom after school, the same room where he'd once felt like a fraud. A student named Maya stayed behind. She asked quietly, "Mr. Chen, how did you get so calm?" David almost gave a simple answer. Instead, he shared his truth. "I started believing I deserved a better future, and I proved it to myself, one small choice at a time." Maya listened intently. Later that week, she started her own habit, saving $1 from her lunch money each day. David saw himself in her eyes. The cycle of scarcity was breaking, not with a dramatic gesture, but with a quiet decision repeated until it became identity. The fog had lifted. David finally understood. Financial freedom isn't a destination you reach after saving a certain amount. It's a state of mind you build through consistent action. It's the confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself. It's the peace of knowing you can handle what comes next. Standing at his classroom window watching students play basketball, David felt tears, not of sadness, but of gratitude. He hadn't discovered a secret, he'd rediscovered his own worth, and that was worth more than any amount of money. Today, 18 months after that first $5 transfer, David still teaches 7th grade history, but his life looks different in quiet, profound ways. His credit card debt is gone. His student loans are on an accelerated payment plan. He'll be debt-free in 3 years instead of 10. His savings account holds $8,400, an emergency fund that finally feels like true security. He didn't get rich. He didn't win the lottery. He didn't even change careers. What changed was his daily relationship with money. That $5 habit grew to $15 daily after his curriculum work expanded. Some months he saves $500. Other months life happens and he saves $300. But he never saves zero. Never. The habit became non-negotiable, like breathing. David recently helped his sister create her own saving habit, just $2 daily. Last month, she paid off her car loan 6 months early. She called David crying, not from stress, but from pride. "You showed me it's possible," she said. The ripple effect had begun. David's transformation wasn't just personal, it became generational. His younger cousins now ask him about money. His parents, who always worried about retirement, started their own small saving habit after seeing his consistency. Looking back, David realizes the $5 was never really about the money. It was about proof. Each transfer was evidence that he could keep promises to himself, that he was trustworthy, that his future mattered. After 90 days of evidence, his identity shifted. He stopped seeing himself as bad with money and started seeing himself as someone who builds. This identity shift changed everything: his spending, his earning, his peace. David still drives the same 10-year-old car. He still lives in the same apartment, but everything feels different because his relationship with money transformed. He shops without anxiety. He plans vacations without dread. He sleeps through the night. The external circumstances changed slowly. The internal freedom arrived quickly, within those first 90 days of consistent action. He often tells his students, "You don't need to change everything today. You just need to change one small thing, and do it again tomorrow and the next day." Small choices repeated become your life. David knows his journey isn't over. Life will bring new challenges. Unexpected expenses will come, but now he faces them from a foundation of strength, not scarcity. The habit didn't solve all his problems. It gave him the resilience to solve them himself. And that, more than any dollar amount, is true wealth.
Now, here's what this means for you. You don't need to save $5. Maybe you save $1. Maybe you save $10. The amount doesn't matter. What matters is the order. What matters is the promise. Starting tomorrow, before you buy coffee, before you check social media, before anything else, transfer that small amount to a separate account. Make it automatic if you can, but do it manually at first. Feel the choice. Feel the dignity of prioritizing your future self. Your situation might feel different from David's. Your debt might be larger, your income smaller. But the principle remains the same. Small, consistent actions rebuild your relationship with money. They rebuild your self-trust. They rebuild your belief that you deserve peace. Your past failures aren't proof you can't change. They're proof you tried before you had the right system. This isn't another budget to fail at. It's a daily ritual of self-respect. Choose one thing, just one. Tomorrow morning, transfer that small amount. Then do it again the next day and the next. Don't focus on the destination. Focus on showing up for yourself daily. The transformation will come, not in a dramatic moment, but in quiet shifts you'll notice weeks later. You'll feel calmer at the grocery store. You'll sleep better on Sunday nights. You'll open your bank app without fear. These small moments of peace compound into a life of freedom. Every day you wait is a day lost, but also a day you can reclaim starting now. Your story isn't over. The chapter of scarcity can end today. Not with a grand gesture, not with winning the lottery, but with $5 or $1 or $10 transferred before anything else. A daily vote for the person you're becoming. Your financial destiny isn't determined by your salary or your debt. It's determined by your daily choices, by the small promises you keep to yourself when no one is watching. Start today, not Monday, not next month, today. Transfer that amount. Then tomorrow, do it again, and the day after that. For 90 days, prove to yourself that you matter, that your future matters, that you are worth saving for. Your story isn't over. This is just the beginning. Stay for more stories that might change your perspective. And remember, the smallest habit, repeated consistently, becomes the foundation of everything that follows. You've got this, starting today.